disruptive.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So, if you could imagine 20 years ago or longer than that, when people would say that there was this global cabal of bankers and elitists that are really controlling the world and occupying our governments and taking over our nations, you may have laughed at that, saying that was conspiracy, that's, tinfoil hat rhetoric, that was paranoia. And we revealed that's true. That is no doubtably true. And now we are figuring out how true this claim really is. Because we know about the World Economic Forum, we know about their activities, we know about their pursuit into investing themselves into nations, within governance, within culture, within educational institutions. We know how impactful they are in controlling different territories around the world. And here's an example of it. This is, again, Klaus Schwab announcing how it's like Dr. Evil or a James Bond villain announcing his devilish plan to take over world governments. And he's about to explain how he does it.
What we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, is that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's
So he's literally openly announced, hey, we put in Justin Trudeau, and then we went over to Justin Trudeau, and we saw other members of our organization being penetrated into their government. Just openly, casually just announcing, hey, we took over your government and we installed a bunch of puppets. And meanwhile, for the last how many years, we complained that somehow Vladimir Putin and a bunch of memes overthrew the democracy in America, and yet this has been going on for how many decades? Same with Israel? Same with AIPAC? We did have foreign interference, it just wasn't Russia, and it wasn't memes. We had actual people perpetrated and built up by the World Economic Forum to penetrate our cabinets. What a healthy democracy we live in. Their version of democracy. When you hand select people and then program them and throw them into individual nations. Such great sports.
true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with the president, who is a young global leader, but what is important for what we are...
So that's him announcing, people like Justin Trudeau or the government in Argentina and in France and the UK and Australia. And you wonder why all these different countries kind of act in a similar way. This is why. This is where it comes from. All those, mandates during COVID, all the censorship tactics, all the economic treasonous, all the capture, the climate change scandal, all that's coming from this. Where the woke agenda comes from, all the woke nonsense, it's coming from this organization. Because they're purposely penetrating governments to act in coordinates of this way. And here's to explain even further of this. This is the actual head leader of the forum that cultivated people like Justin Trudeau and the leader of Argentina and Rishi Sunak and the Prime Minister of France and so on. This is a forum of the young global leaders, and he's about to explain how they purposely collect these people and then basically build them up to be leaders, effective leaders in their little clan here. Listen to this.
To give you a warm welcome for many of you to the World Economic Forum headquarters. This is where the magic happens. And you are part of that magic.
Oh.
Feel the magic in these walls.
No.
Feel the magic that many leaders.
No. No. Feel the magic. Feel the magic of globalists, corporatists, fascists dictating over the livelihoods of the rest of humanity. Feel the magic of a suit tie wearing buffoon at a shareholders meeting. Feel the magic. The opportunity to take your narcissism and totalitarianism out in the open. Feel the magic. Holy crap.
Many communities are bringing so that we can come together and create impact that we want in this world. What most of you don't know is that we took a long exercise to work with our advisory board, with our foundation board, with different stakeholders to really refine what's our mission statement. We know that the YGL community is a dynamic accelerator of a dynamic community of exceptional leaders who have the vision, the courage, and the influence to drive change. And we have a mission. And this mission is that we are a diverse community that inspires and connects extraordinary leaders in their efforts to build a more inclusive and sustainable world.
So this is where the woke wording comes into play. This is where it all originates from. This is purposely used to manipulate people's minds, because when you hear diverse and inclusiveness, that warps your, emotional state to think that, oh, this is an accepting program, that people of all walks of life are able to, contribute to this, and they're so open and they're allowing these people to speak. That's so great of them. That's a cover for what they really are. Because underneath all that, underneath the diverse appearance of these individuals, they are all acting the same way. So it's not diverse of thought or diverse of mindset, it's diverse of appearance. So they could easily cover up their awful agenda, their evilness, by saying, hey, we allowed a gay person, we allowed a black person, we allowed a brown person, we allowed a non-binary trans person to be part of this. So you can't blame us because we're so diverse. That's where your wokeness came from people inside the World Economic Forum and people like BlackRock that invested in it so that businesses had to cooperate with that in order to get social credit scores.
That's who we are. And I would like by this occasion to thank all the members of the foundation board and the advisory councils who've been with us in this exercise and really helped us to narrow what are the low-hanging fruits and the sweet spots where we can do more, where we can achieve more, where by bringing all the exceptional leaders that you are, we can create something meaningful for our community, societies, local communities, and beyond. And that's what we do as daily activities. We select you, we connect you in our gatherings because we want to transform you. We select you because you are an exceptional leader. But
Boy, that sounds like a fun fraternity right there. We handpicked you, we connect you with a bunch of other rich assholes, and then we transform you. This sounds more dangerous than Scientology. And I've seen stuff on Scientology. I watched a few episodes of Leah Remini's Aftermath show that she had on. And let me tell you, Scientology is one thing, but it can't hold a candle to the sinister, diabolical... This is almost satanic in a way. Like, you're just missing the overcoats, the devil horns coming out of this, and the fact that it's a, white background with a bunch of logos and not a, dark, disturbing, abandoned asylum. Like, it is just the same exact, the exact same kind of feel, the exact same kind of vibe you get from that. You're hand selecting people to transform them. God, did they get the wording from the TSA when you're hand selected for a pat down? Congratulations, you've been randomly selected to get searched and stripped.
We believe that you have the potential to even be better. And this is the space for it. This is where the magic happens. And the work of the YGL community comes within a framework. And that framework is the framework of the World Economic Forum. The idea of the forum is to be an incubator.
So I want to pause on this graphic here because this highlights so much. So you already know, we just saw there how they influence government leaders. That's how Justin Trudeau gets elected into office. That's how, the UK gets Rishi Sunak. That's how Emmanuel Macron. That's how these people do what they do. That's how they get in. They're operatives inside this organization. But how much impact the World Economic Forum has on our daily lives, I don't think people have a full understanding. They can't grasp the idea of how influential and powerful this organization is. Because not only do they influence government leaders, the general public. So they're manipulating the media. They're manipulating academia and science. That's where your COVID mandates come from. That's where, the Ivy League institutions that basically transform you to be ploys for the intelligence agency. That's where it all comes from. And businesses, so BlackRock, Vanguard, being coinciding with the World Economic Forum to dictate how companies should run and keep their ESG scores perfect. That's where that comes in. Civil society leaders. So that's how it influences general public. So they influence the culture by cultivizing everything else. Because once you hear about it and see it and you constantly keep getting messaging about it, it gets sucked in your head, and that's when people start believing it. That's how they mass manipulate people. Once you take the media, the government, and other businesses, held them hostage of this agenda, then you're manipulating the rest of the public. And they're able to do this in this fashion. It's a cycle. It really is a horrific, really horrific, demonic cycle that these people have.
Of projects. Have you heard of Gavi, for example? Gavi was a project that was...
Gavi! So there's the example. Gavi is the Bill Gates Foundation. That was his little NGO that he was trying to capitalize off the patents of vaccines. And he was able to do that, captivate all that money, and get himself to be the head of the vaccine mandate committee. He then bought himself into the World Economic Forum, to the WHO, and buy media time. So that's why a tech billionaire who barely knows how to program was able to be the aficionado exemplary of telling us how to protect ourselves during a medical situation, even though he has no medical science background whatsoever. That's how he was able to do so. He was able to manipulate and calculate to be an evil mastermind because he capitalizes off the vaccine patents. So, of course, he's going to push for it as much as possible and mandate, and people are going to adore him, thinking that he's such a great businessman, when really, he's a narcissist. He's a capitalist. He's a venture vulture capitalist that just feeds off of other people and then cultivates that and takes it for his own. That's why he's now buying up a bunch of farmland, injecting farm animals with vaccines. In fact, injecting them with the mRNA vaccines used for COVID. and removing agriculture to provide synthetic meats and alternatives.
Was launched in Davos some decades ago, and now it's by itself an organization. There are, as I said, hundreds of these. I'll highly encourage you to check out this, because you can be engaged in this project, and that's where the forum brings all the stakeholders so that we advance the mission of the forum. You are all privileged.
Magic.
Right? You're all privileged. Just by being in this room, you are privileged. And you should not be ashamed of your privilege. But you should be ashamed if you don't use it for a purpose. And that's important.
And we will help find that purpose for you. We will hand select you and transform you that you have a purpose, and the purpose is us. God, that's sickening. Now you know where all that comes from. Now you know why governments around the world act in coordinates with each other. It's because they're acting in coordinates with this. That's how they get into office. This is how they get in political influence. This is where it all starts. And once people realize the big head that's responsible for all this, then we can point our anger and direction away from our friends and family and neighbors, which we've been manipulated to believe in order to keep us at fighting with each other, rather than fighting the true enemies and oppressors of society who are doing the most horrific, evil things imaginable. So, here's another little interesting fact here that I cultivated. I apologize that this image is a little blurry. It was the only thing I could find clear enough. So it says a list of the World Economic Forum young global leaders and agenda contributors that might surprise you. So these are the people that were either transformed by the organization or people that have invested into the World Economic Forum, like financially. So individuals like Elon Musk, and, Mark Zuckerberg, Anderson Cooper, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Gavin Newsom, that's the governor of California, Mr. Wannabe President, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, I don't know who those people are, Bono, the lead singer of U2, Bono. I mean, that explained why his last few concerts, he wanted to get the audience to praise for a CIA asset that died. Let's all say together, Navalny. Oh my God. Peter Thiel, Jimmy Wales, Pete Buttigieg, Tulsi Gabbard, Dan Crenshaw, that's Eye Patch Man, David D. Rothschild, Jack Ma. How come we don't hear anything from Jack Ma anymore? That's the leader of Alibaba. That's the Amazon of Asia. I wonder why you don't hear from him. Maybe he's maybe he put himself in rich people prison. I don't know. He thought mean thoughts. I don't know. Justin Trudeau, Vladimir Putin, Rishi Sunak, President Xi Jinping, Kevin McCarthy, Greta Thunberg, George Soros, Emmanuel Macron, Mauricio Marchi, Tony Blair, Angela Merkel, Ashton Kutcher. No. Ashton Kutcher. Michael frickin' Kelso. Holy shit. Oh my God. Well, you know what? It takes a certain celebrity to play both parts. It takes a certain celebrity to play a dumb guy in a sitcom to becoming a nefarious global tyrant. So I guess he's really good at that skill. I guess he's a really profound actor. But didn't he also, I think he has a tech company that it's like tracking, monitoring like human trafficking. I remember hearing he like testify in Congress once about it. Maybe that's it. Maybe he's using that technology. I bet you I bet you, this is my theory, that he's trying to sell that technology to the World Economic Forum so that he can surveil on everybody. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Ashton Kutcher. Wow. King Charles and Sheryl Sandberg. Just to name a few. Name a few. There's a lot more to that list there, but those few did surprise me there. And here's also to narrow it down too, just a Canadian perspective of how influential, because you just heard even Klaus Schwab saying he's surprised how many Canadian people in government are connected to the World Economic Forum, and here's proof of it. Not only Justin Trudeau, but here's Chrystia Freeland, the Deputy Prime Minister and leader of the New Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, is also part of the World Economic Forum. So again, now you know why they do what they do, why they act the way that they do, why they're so their ideals, their motivations, their policies are so derived from kind of this collaboration of both a government and a corporate state, is because they're not in control of their governments. They're not in control of the policies that they place upon people. They're just getting their board. They're just applying what they've learned from and being transformed by the World Economic Forum. So they're the ones that are in control of the world. They're the ones that are the evil masterminds that are manipulating us on a daily basis. And they're getting their henchmen of informants from the young global leaders to do their dirty work for other nations. So for Canada, we have Justin Trudeau. For, China, they have Xi Jinping. They have Emmanuel Macron in France. They have Rishi Sunak in the UK. And they all act in coordinates with this global, evil, nefarious tyrant regime. And the more that people are aware of this and understand how this gets coordinated to oppress the mass amounts of people, then we'd be really stopping and doing a difference. This is where this all comes from. So all your problems with woke, all your problems with censorship, all your problems with banning gas-powered lawnmowers so that jet setters can go around the world and take multiple vacations while you can't, keep your lights on. Where all this is coming from is coming from a evil, nefarious group of basically wannabe mafia men and women in this global cabal that is destroying humanity. And they have entrenched themselves so deeply that people can't even imagine how far this has gone. It's not even just government leaders, but you saw the diagram there that they have influence in academics, they have influence in the media, they have influence in television, movies, they have influences in civil leaders, they have influences in NGOs and nonprofits, they have influences in young people, they have influences in social media, they have influences everywhere. These are the craven, narcissistic, blood-curdling masterminds that are behind it all. And they want you to believe that your enemy is your friends, your families, and neighbors in your community. And they purposely do that. They want to frame each other and yell at each other and cause havoc to each other so they can get away with it. That's all distraction to keep us attacking each other so they can get away with their horrific agenda. But luckily, people are awakened to this.